Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Tuesday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy, and I do want to apologize if we're having audio difficulties. I am working with our provider to try to figure out why the audio is so bad during the beginning of the show. But as the show progresses forward, I guarantee you the audio will be crystal clear. I have another great show planned for your viewing and listening pleasure this evening. As you guys all know, election day is 21 days away, and it is important that we all go and cast our vote, our ballots, and vote for who it is that we want in office. I'm not telling you guys who to vote for, but it is important that you go vote. As of today, I was told that over 10 million Americans have cast their vote, and so we're just waiting to see. But we're exactly 21 days from election day 2020. And so tonight in our guest co-host seat is a young lady who I am just so honored to welcome her to the show this evening. I won't date her. I won't say how long she and I have been knowing each other. She probably will share that, but she is a beautiful individual. Not only is she a radio producer, she was a radio producer for the nationally syndicated Tom Joyner morning show. She herself was a radio personality and still is. She is also just one of the most kindest people you ever want to meet. A motivational speaker, an author, a brand consultant, a wonderful mom. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, my good friend, the amazing Miss Nikki Woods. Yay! There you are.
I am so happy to see you. I don't know what to do. I was like, I've been so excited all day knowing we were going to hang out.
I'm happy to see you as well, too. Can you hear me crystal clear, and is the audio good?
It is certainly getting better as we go. I will say that. So you called that one perfectly.
Yes. Oh, I have to do that every night. I don't know. I think they think I'm playing, and then once the show starts, they like, no, he's serious. This is for real. So it'll be much better. Nikki,
I was gonna say your provider has to catch up with your awesomeness. You're just too awesome.
Yes. Well, Nikki, for those that do not know you, I know who you are. I, of course, do not want to date you by saying how long we've been knowing each other, but do me a favor, tell everybody who you are, introduce yourself, let them know what's going on, and just how fabulous the Nikki Woods is. Notice I said the Nikki Woods, because that's how you're referred. Yes. If I Google you, it comes up as the Nikki Woods. So go right ahead.
Funny. It's so funny because I meet people all the time, and even people that haven't known me since from radio, and they always call me Nikki Woods. It's like they never just call me Nikki, and they're like, we just can't say, we have to say both names, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll take it.
No. It's like Apollonia. It's like Vanity. It's like those names. So you just can't say, hey, Nikki. I mean, I do know you as hey, Nikki, but no, dear, you have to say the Nikki Woods. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
So, and I am going to date myself in just a minute, but so I was in Chicago for a long time. I've been in radio and TV for 20 plus years, and I worked at GCI for 10 as co-host of the morning show with Crazy Howard, Tony Schofield, and then Leon. And then I went to Dallas, and I produced for Tom. I was executive producer, and I also still did on air in Chicago and for the national show for almost 9 years before I resigned and started my own business. And so that's what I've been doing ever since. I do media training for Major League Baseball. I also do a lot of just coaching and strategizing for businesses that want to grow using the media. And so Chat Daddy and I have known each other so long because I was on a call with my parents earlier. And I was like, they were like, who are you doing the interview with? And I was like, oh, I'm chatting with Chat Daddy. And they're like, isn't that the guy who threw your baby shower for your oldest son? And I was like, yes. So that's how far we go back. And then we go back before that. But that's like one of my fondest memories ever of Chat Daddy throwing a baby shower for my son. So
the funniest thing, one of my dear friends is getting married next month, and they're having her bridal shower this coming Saturday. And I said, I'm the guy who I am the luckiest man in the world. I get to throw baby showers for people. I get to go to bridal showers. If I'm cool with the fiance, I get to go to the bachelor party. So I am just blessed that I've been able to do all of these wonderful things. Well, yes, Nikki,
Yeah.
I remember, and your son is now in
He's a
college.
freshman in college.
You have a Generation Zer on your hands, and that's so interesting.
Yeah, and he is full-fledged. It's like we have to almost get a translator at times to really, communicate. Like, because what I say, he hears in a totally different way. But he is a great kid. You definitely blessed us at the very beginning, and we've been rolling ever since. So
beautiful. I knew you'd have nothing but wonderful children. I knew everything would be the way I wanted it to be for you. You've always been just such a beautiful person with a kind heart. And so, it's easy and simple. So tonight you're in the co-host seat and we have a lot to talk about. You're down there in Dallas. How's the weather down there?
So it just started getting cold today, actually, but it's been in the 80s. So today was probably about 70, 75.
Oh,
so
really?
It's starting to cool off a bit. Yeah.
And they're warning us here in Chicago that next week the high would be 60. Now tomorrow's supposed to be a 70-degree day for us, but who knows?
That's not bad for Chicago.
No, it's not. But I'm leaning more towards the 80-degree days for my future life. Yes,
I understand. I definitely love it. People are like, are you going to go back to Chicago? I was like, yeah, when they lose the winters. Once that part is gone, I'm so there. It's not even funny.
Very good. Well, coming up on tonight's show, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So joining the show tonight is one of my dear friends, Lisa Jenkins. She's a domestic violence advocate and an educator on all things domestic violence. But she also is the creator of a wonderful new app that's getting a lot of attention. The app is called the Slip Out app. And so tonight she'll talk to us about that, why she created it, and the fact that it is really taking off. And it will help a lot of different people. And as you and I both just said, fall is quickly setting in. You said it's even cool down there in Dallas. So our good friend, Chef Cordell McGarry is here, and he's the president and executive chef of Eat Well with Chef Cordell Consulting. And he'll be here tonight to teach us how to make two really easy, hearty soups that you and your family will enjoy. I know I told him, I said, dude, it does not work because we won't be able to taste the soups, but that's okay. At least we'll have the recipes, right, Nikki?
Absolutely. I'm gonna just enjoy watching it being made. I get a feel out of that too. So
okay. Very good. All right. Well, let's start off with the daily COVID-19 update numbers for here in the state of Illinois. Illinois health officials announced today that we had 2,851 new confirmed cases of COVID-19. Unfortunately, we had 30 additional deaths. That has now pushed our death total to over 9,000 people that have died in the state of Illinois from COVID-19. It has been the 7th day in a row that we've had more than 2,600 new known cases of COVID-19. This brings the total now to 324,743 confirmed cases. And as I said before, our death total is now at 9,026 deaths. And the statewide positivity rate is 4.5%. We ending the week of October 12th. And so with that being said, Nikki, how is COVID in Dallas doing? We had a relationship expert on about a week and a half ago, and she kind of gave us the update. What's the deal down there in Dallas? Are people acting right or no?
I think it just depends on where you are and what you're doing. It seems to me that the majority of people are really trying to observe when they're in very public places, like going to Walmart and that sort of thing. It is less, I think, observed if you are in small gatherings, which I think has become the problem. So college students and high school students have still been trying to socialize because, they're all remote, and even neighbors have been trying to have small gatherings, and they get a little lax with the masks. I think that's what caused the issue. So we are still seeing an increase from time to time in cases. We did open up early and numbers shot up, so we closed down really quick again, and now we're trying to open up again. But people, I just don't know if they're don't really realize how serious it is or what, because it's like even when people will come to the house, it's like they won't have their mask on, and I'm like, you're not getting past this barrier.
Right. Yes.
Because you just can't tell. I mean, and I've had one woman who got upset, and I'm like, well, ma'am, you can't, this is the life we're living in right now. And unfortunately, I think the issue is that so many people, will have COVID and then not even know they have it. So they don't even know that they need to take precautions, and then they're just spread it around willy-nilly. So we're getting better. We're certainly staying on top of it, but it is still an issue that we need to be, cognizant of.
This past weekend, I made a comment on social media and I said, oh, please forgive me. I'm not trying to be the mass police. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but there were several parties that took place over the weekend, and these were just fabulous parties. And I think the sad part is that I don't think the host of the party realized that so many of the guests were broadcasting live from the party. And I said, now I wonder if that's a rule now where we're going to have to start saying to people, no live videos, no photography. But quite a few of these parties had, a lot of A-listers. And I'm like, oh my God, like that's Rona waiting to happen. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Have you been to any events?
I have not, and I will not, because of that reason. You know what I mean? It's like I don't think anybody is excited about wearing the mask, or is like, this is a great thing, let's continue to do it forever. But we have to for this to stop. It's been proven over and over that people that don't wear the mask and they have the virus and they get around groups of people, they spread it very quickly. And so it's just really scary to me. I mean, I'll do all the virtual in the world. I will go to Walmart. I will take my son to work. But that really is about it, because I just don't think people are being as responsible.
No, so I agree with you 100%. And that's so funny. Speaking of Walmart, I digress just a little bit. As of Friday, Mayor Lori Lightfoot is putting Indiana back on the list of places that if you go over to Indiana, you must quarantine for 14 days. And Nikki, as a, former Chicagoan, I mean, you were born here, but, being here in Chicago, Hammond, Indiana is known for cheap gas, tobacco products, liquor, and that great Walmart right across the border. So Sunday after church, my good friend and I said, well, let's head on over to Indiana, Hammond, to do a little shopping. Matter of fact, Walmart's here in Illinois won't accept any returns. So I took something back to the Walmart in Hammond. So my best friend and I, no clothing items can be returned to a Walmart in Illinois. So I took them back to Hammond. But my best friend and I stopped in the local Ross out there. And, she and I have a signal that if I ever say out loud, there's a Ellie Mae running around, that means somebody's in here with no mask on, don't give a damn. And sure enough, in front of me was a Ellie Mae. She had no mask on. She did not care about having a mask on. And we quickly departed that store, because we don't know, because people are not following the rules over in Hammond. No, they're not.
They don't. And you don't know who is who's high risk or and who's not. So it's like, one of my best friends, I mean, her husband is considered high risk. So it's like I don't even hang out with her because she's so concerned about, making sure that her household stays safe. I mean, this is not, I just don't understand people. I mean, it's just the ultimate degree to me of selfishness, with just no disregard for anybody else's health or public safety. Like I said, nobody is happy about this. Nobody is twirling saying, I get to stay at home all the time and not see my friends. So it's just, everybody just needs to do what they have to do, so everybody else stays safe.
Okay, well, see, Nikki, you and I kind of come from the same thought process, but then let's look at people who follow our current president. Our current president tweeted on a Thursday night early into Friday morning, 1 a.m. in the morning, I have COVID. By that coming Monday, this man is having a party. He's standing on the porch of the White House. He rips the mask off. So now for those that say, sheesh, the president of the United States is not adhering to the rule, why should I? And so it's a mixed message. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't think he had COVID, first of all. So I'll say that. I'll just put that on the table. I think it was a political strategy. Yep. He was like, okay, and then completely forgot that he was supposed to have COVID and he was doing whatever that, he wanted to do. I think it was just a ploy for him to see more, to soften his image up because he has had such a hard stance, but he showed what he believes and how he operates. And I don't think he's ever given a clear signal of anything other than he's, totally inept to be in office. But I just don't think he had it.
No, I don't either. I don't bit more believe it. We've not seen the first lady since. At least Chris Christie had this wherewithal to go and be in the hospital for what, 7 or 8 days. But
Mhm.
our president, walking out the hospital, tapping the handrail, decides to walk up the flight of stairs at the White House. The Obamas didn't even walk up those flight of stairs, and they were in great shape. And
Yeah.
I'm like you, Nikki. I don't believe him and the first lady had it at all either. I just don't. No.
Yeah, I don't, and I think we need to check on her because I think something might have happened to her.
Yeah, she
I
disappeared.
always get
Yes.
worried when she's gone for more than like 2 or 3 days because I'm like, they
Right.
got her under the stairs somewhere,
Yes,
Crazy.
I agree. She is missing and we need to find her. As much as we don't like her husband, we do because, you hate to hate Melania. I've said it all along. I said she wears great fashion, all of that. I said, but because she's married to who she's married to, you've got to hate her as well, too. So you're
Oh
right.
yeah,
We do need to send out a
I
smoke
view
signal.
her as like a prisoner of war. Like I just feel so I like want to rescue her, like just get her away from the enemy. It's just like I feel so
Right.
bad for her, so bad.
Yes. Well, I agree. Well, also, Nikki, in the news, a teen girl gave COVID-19 to 11 of her relatives across 4 states, including Illinois. This all happened during a family reunion vacation. And the cases, they run really severe, where some people are in the hospital,
Mhm.
very sick, where some people are at home just relaxing. And with the holidays being right around the corner, and Nikki, I know you have family all over and you all love to get together, but how are you going to handle this whole holiday thing this year?
We're gonna handle it on Zoom. It's like nobody is going anywhere. I mean, I think that we're so serious about this. I had a girlfriend, and this is why it's so scary because, like you said, it spreads so fast, and you don't know how it's going to affect each person. I had a girlfriend or her husband's family, they all basically resided in the same apartment building, and like 10 of them died because the apartment building got COVID and it just spread. Yeah, it was horrible. And so and this was early on. So it was really before I think people were, really serious about the mask, but still it just spread so fast and you don't know how it's gonna affect you. I've had, people that have had it and they still have symptoms like 4 months, 5 months, 6 months later,
Mm-hmm.
because it just lingers. And then you don't
Mm-hmm.
know if they're still like actively have the virus or if nobody seems to know anything, not even the officials. They don't know enough for me anyway. And
Right.
so it's like, y'all can get the vaccine and everything could be fine. And I will still be in my house for 6 more months.
Oh my God. Well, I was telling the story on the show just last week and partially the week before. A dear friend of mine's who, I reached out to him maybe 2 months ago. Hey, how you doing? He's like, look, I'm fine, wonderful. He had even had, a minor surgery, everything. He texts me, probably it's been about 3 weeks now, saying I have COVID-19. I finally talked to him last Monday and he said it hit him so bad that he couldn't even tell you what happened to him and that he couldn't even talk. This was like the first time he could even talk in full sentences, and he's still on oxygen and in a rehab center as we speak right now. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, his health is improving, but you just don't know. And we're talking about a man who was physically fit. The surgery he had was to repair something from where he used to work out and just needed to have, a repair done. So just, I don't get it. We just don't know. It's almost like Russian roulette,
It is. And I think people, because the symptoms can be kind of confusing. And so I think people are slow to go to the doctor. But interestingly enough, my son works at a fast food restaurant, a chicken place up here. And one day I was like, I had a fever and I didn't know why I had a fever. It was just for no reason. Right. And so I told my kids, I was like, I called the doctor. I have a fever. She said, just, quarantine yourself in your room for the next 24 hours. If it's not gone, come in.
Right.
So my son calls the restaurant, say, well, I think my mom has COVID-19. She's having symptoms. I had the health department calling me like, he could not go back to work. I was like, thank God I don't have it. It was just something, it was a fluke, but it's gone.
Right.
But it was so funny how fast they were like on my phone, like, well, we have to ask you some questions. And I'm like,
yes.
I appreciate you, but I'm good.
Well, you know, Nikki, we were just saying the other day that like public sneezing is a no-no now. People who have allergies, people who, you know, I have a friend, his ear itches all the time. And he makes that, you know how people make that noise,
scratching noise
that scratching, right. And all of that now is like a no-no. Like you are just afraid to sneeze in public now because
if you sneeze now, I might have to go.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Just like it's just I just, and I hate to be like, because I am certainly not the person who is like, you know, conspiracy theorists or just paranoid about everything. But I think we have more than enough proof that this is really dangerous and you just don't know how you catch it. And so it's like I'm acting right. Like I am acting right. So.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, Nikki, do you have your mask? We want to remind everyone. I told you, just like flight attendants, please wear your mask. See, wear your mask. They even have disposable black masks now.
Yes,
so
yes.
see, wear your mask. All right. We want to remind everyone to sanitize. Wash your hands with soap and water. That's the most important thing. If you cannot get the soap and water, we ask that you use hand sanitizer just like that. Hold your hand out, Nikki, so I can put a little in your hand. Okay, there you go. All right. And just rub your hands together. Yep. Get them nice and clean. Remember to social distance. Please stay 6 feet. Get off of me. Don't get up on me. A lot of you all in the grocery store don't understand. It should be actually 2 carts where you stand back from each other. And remember, if you're not feeling well, keep your ass in the house. That's what we say on this show all the time. You're not feeling well. Look at what Nikki's son did. His mother had a fever. He got her reported to the Department of Health. Right. She was on her way to jail.
Right. But you know what I think is interesting is that I think people think that the 6 feet is like without a mask. It's like even with a mask, you're still supposed to be 6 feet apart. So I will get an attitude with anybody that brings their cart too close to me. I'm like, please read all the 10,000 signs they have posted throughout this store. Follow the arrows for the aisles. You go that way. I go this way. Like, let's just pay attention.
Yes.
Please.
Wow. Well, Nikki, speaking of your youngest son, he has taken up something that I love, which is archery. And I do. That's so funny.
I didn't know black people love archery.
Honey, I've not done it in a while, but I do love archery. It is a very skilled sports, and it's very detailed. But your son just had a crazy little experience in his own backyard.
We did. So he's home from school. I mean, he's homing, schooling from home. And so we took a break. He went outside. I was outside. He was outside. The dogs were outside, and he was, doing his archery thing. And he just looked really cute. And I just happened to snap a picture of him. But he's 17. So, I mean, he's aware of safety precautions and all that.
Yes.
So we go back inside. He goes to class. The doorbell rings, and there's 2 police officers. And so I'm like, can I help you? And they're like, well, we got a call of a suspicious young black male in the area with a weapon. And we wanted to check it out. I was like, well, what was the weapon? And they were like, well, it's a bow and arrow. And I was like, well, that was my son. And we were in the backyard, and I showed them the picture, and they kind of laughed about it. And I was like, well, who called it in? Because, we're in a cul-de-sac in a closed neighborhood, and has to be a neighbor. And so they were like,
and here's the crazy piece. You didn't just move in last week. You've been living there.
Here for 8 years. And so it's and all of us have been living here for 8 years. Nobody knew on this, the block since I've been here. And so, they kind of was like, well, we can't tell you. And I was like, okay. So they left. And luckily, and I always have to put this in there because police get such a bad rap. They were very kind. They were very relaxed. They asked questions. But my issue was, one, we were in our backyard. I was with him. People know him. I mean, if anybody had an issue with him having a bow and arrow, and you don't want to come to me for whatever reason, then you call the police and you say, my neighbor's son, or my 17-year-old neighbor, is in the backyard with a bow and arrow. I'm concerned. It's like everybody seemed to kind of miss the part that, that they use such language like suspicious young black male with a weapon. Who does that? Who does that? And it's like I was telling my son, I was like, it's the scary thing is that if the wrong policeman had come while he was still out there, had said something to him, and he had just turned to respond, they could have shot him.
Yes.
They could have shot him. And so it really was just like, to me, like, we have got to have some kind of a conversation about this, because the language that you use is so important. And believe me, I don't think this was a mistake. I mean, I think they were very intentional in the language that they used, but I don't think anybody thinks it through. Like, what could have possibly happened? I don't think anybody, and it's so interesting to hear white people in this, and not that white people can't have an opinion, or people outside of our community can't have an opinion, but there's no shared experience that gives you the right to say, because I've had several white friends come to me and say, oh, well, maybe it was just about the bow and arrow. No, what about the bow and arrow? If it was about the bow and arrow, they would have said bow and arrow. They wouldn't have said suspicious black male with a weapon.
Right.
It's the craziest thing to me. And it's like, I don't think until we had like Breonna Taylor and these incidents that have happened in this year alone, have I ever been so confronted with people's inherent biases and prejudices and just the way they think, that they don't even remotely see as racist. But just the fact that you can tell me that somebody reported, and just the fact that she said he was black, why did he have to be black? He could have just been they're like, well, they have to give all the details. Well, she knew where they lived. The person knew where we lived. They sent him to our house. So it's not like you didn't know who it was. It's just so ridiculous to me. And it's so sad that, that people feel that they have the right to do these kinds of things.
So now, of course, Nikki, I want to be Inspector Chat Daddy here. Now, are you all the only black family in the cul-de-sac?
We're the only black family in the community. So there are a lot of people of different races, but we are the only black people in the community. Yes.
Okay. Sure. So now your son being in your backyard, would the arrow happen to have gone over in somebody else's yard, or
Never,
I'm sure.
No, right. He's 17. He's not 6. I mean, we were very, he took lessons. He had an instructor. We were very, and in fact, it was because, probably when he first started, because we have this big open field, like, a few blocks, not a few blocks, but just on the other side of the street. And he wanted to go there and do it. And I said, there is no way you are walking around this community with a bow and arrow.
Right.
You're just not. I mean, it's just too dangerous. That bow could go anywhere without a fence or whatever. So we've already had that conversation. So it's not even like, we're just like out there willy-nilly shooting arrows. It's crazy.
I don't get it. I really don't, because again, you're saying mixed community. You've been there over 8 years, and the fact that again he was in his own backyard. As you said, if he was somewhere else, it would have made a total difference. I'm just so glad, because when you posted the picture, and then look what happened. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. So how is he feeling about all of this now?
I mean, he has such a kind heart. That I think it bothered him, but he has such a forgiving heart. Like, he would never be as upset about it like as I am. Mm-hmm. So he's just like, well, maybe they just didn't understand what was happening, and they were concerned. But I mean, I think that he knows now that you have got to be cognizant of it. That I've always talked to them like it's out there. Like, you have to be careful when you go out there. Nobody ever said like what happens when you're in your own home. Like Breonna Taylor taught us that, you're not even safe in your own home half the time. And then for your neighbors to do it, it just makes no sense to me. But he is processing it well. He is, he's still that happy spirit. I don't think he will ever change how he acts towards any of the neighbors, even though I'm going to be giving him the side eye.
Hello. Right.
But he's such a great kid. But it was just one of those experiences that just, makes you so sad as a human and as a parent, that somebody would look at your beautiful child and just based on the color of his skin.
Yes.
Be able to make this call. So
wow. I'm so glad he's okay. I'm glad you're fine. And you're right. I would be side-eyeing all the neighbors now, because back in the day, we came from communities that had block clubs and community councils, and something like that. That would have been a phone call from the neighbor, like, hey, Nikki, your son has a bow and arrow now. Okay, we just wanted to make sure, that type of thing. But to involve the police is just, to me, a bit much, just a bit.
Yeah, it was beyond a bit much, and everybody's like, well, what? Maybe they were worried about kids. My kids are the only kids that live on the cul-de-sac. There are
God, this makes it even worse.
No kids running around. There are no other kids. It's ridiculous.
Oh my God. All right. Well, I'm glad that situation and story
Yeah.
is over. On a lighter note,
Yes.
Christmas is 73 days away, and today and tomorrow is considered Amazon Prime days. And so, Nikki, are you guilty? Have you been clicking that button all day long? And then are you ready for Christmas? And keep in mind, pandemic. You've already said Thanksgiving is going to be over Zoom. How's Christmas looking? And then have you been shopping today?
Yeah, I've been shopping today. I mean, it's like Amazon and the drivers, they all know us when they come back, by the house. But no, I've definitely been on Amazon Prime, especially since you really can't go anywhere. I mean, Amazon to me is like the fastest way to get stuff. And now that, there's this big old discounts, I've been definitely shopping. But I don't know what Christmas is going to be like. I mean, normally we go somewhere and we travel for Christmas, so that's not going to be happening. I don't know, we just don't know what it's going to be like. I think it's just the uncertainty of everything is crazy.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I mean, my parents are normally gone for Christmas, and they're not traveling this year. So we may come and spend, a few weeks in Chicago. I hate to say that because of y'all snow.
Yes.
But we may come, just to be around them. Because if we don't come then, I don't know when we'll see family.
Wow.
So that's the sad part. Yeah, that's the sad part.
Well, I had heard talks that they were going to try to open up international travel, but people would be required to take COVID tests before they'd be able to travel, and they would have to submit their test results to the airlines. And JetBlue announced yesterday for $143, you'd be able to get your test results back in 72 hours. Would you be willing to pay that 140? Okay, you like the co-host
I would be
last
willing
night.
to pay it. I'm just not willing to travel, period. I mean,
Okay.
It's not about paying it. I'm just not. And every country is so different. So it's like I've had clients that have, they've gone to London or whatever, and then they can't come back to the United States. They've got to find another country to go through that they can quarantine in for another 2 weeks before they can be allowed entry. And I just don't think we know what it's going to be like. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that the one difference with me is that I did travel so much. So I traveled every week. I was in London once a month. And so this has been a break for me. So it's not even like I'm like all that mad about not being able to travel. I'm kind of over it now, but I'm still just like, I just don't know. I just don't know. And my health and the health of my family and my loved ones are just too important, I think, to do something that's not necessary.
I agree with you on that. I know the travel industry is hurting really, really bad. Me being somebody who used to be in the travel industry, I know a lot of couples, husband and wives, and partners that all work in the airline industry, and they're all laid off now. And then the sad part is flight attendants with up to 25 years of seniority have all been laid off. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine devoting 25 years of your life to an airline, and now you've been laid off?
But you know what? And it is horrible. And I have to say, I mean, I've been really impressed because I had so many trips already planned that I was really impressed with the way that the airlines handled it. Because I think it could have been a lot worse for people who had purchased tickets. But I think it's interesting because we've all been hit so hard. It's like every industry has suffered. And I think that's the unique position that we're in now. It's like, sometimes it's just one, industry, or it's just one country, but the whole world is in this pandemic. And so it's like I'm just really impressed when companies, like even my mortgage company called and they're like, "Do you need a COVID break?" And I'm like, "I'm good. Give somebody else a break." You know what I mean? But they would even call and ask and be considerate enough to offer that, or all the the landlords who waived rent for a couple months. I mean, it's like everybody has been hit. And so I agree the travel industry has been hit hard, but I think that they really did, at least in my experience and everybody else I've talked to, have done a stellar job of trying to make sure that their customers have been, kept as whole as possible.
Yes, that is very true. And I kind of like you, I haven't called in on any of my ghetto blessings, as I would call them, where somebody's saying, "Do you need this? Do you need that?" Yeah. You're right. I've been able to function and everything has been good. All right. Yeah. Well, speaking of a lot of businesses that are changing, our last story today, well, we have two other quick stories and then we'll go to our guests. movie theaters are having a really hard time. Now AMC Theater is saying by the end of the year, they don't know if they'll be able to stay afloat.
Wow.
Regal Theaters announced last week that they are going belly up. They're going to close down for a while until things get better. There are roughly about 150,000 jobs in the movie theater industry, period. So that's a lot of people, 150,000. We're talking about concession workers, janitors, ticket takers, things like that. So Nikki, do you think the movie theaters will ever come back? All the movies are going straight to streaming now.
Straight to streaming now. My son worked at Cinemark, and they laid him off when COVID happened, and then they brought him back, and they were open on the weekends. And it was interesting because they were trying to do a deal where you could rent out a theater and invite a few of your friends, as long as you socially distance. And people protested, and so then they cut that, and so they didn't do that. Yeah. And so they recently sent another email saying they were going to have to lay more people off because it's just been so slow.
Wow.
You're right. It's like we have we would go to the movies every week. That was like our thing to do. Like the boys and I love going to the movies. And it's like now we're like, okay, I'll go buy some popcorn. Like we'll sit right here because it just doesn't it's just like one of those things that's not necessary right now.
Yes.
So it's entertainment. Everything is going to change. The way we do everything is going to change.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So as they said, we got to put our big boy underwear and big girl underwear on and just brace ourselves because our new normal is something that we've never experienced it before. And so we've got to get used to our new normal. All right. Absolutely. Well, our last story today, Nikki, is National No Bra Day. October 13th is encouraged women to leave their bras at home. This is to promote breast cancer awareness, since October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And many women who have had surgery, they are unable to go without a bra after they've had the prosthetic surgery done. And so today is to honor those women, and it's also to remind women to go get a mammogram, to go get their breast checked.
Yes. And so in honor of no bra strap, I take the bra off. But I do want to say this because I was talking to a friend of mine who happens to be a doctor, and we were talking about Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and her charge or her challenge to all women was to go get it. A lot of people are like, well, it's COVID, it's not necessary, I don't want to risk anything. And you want to make sure you're still taking those precautions, and you're going to get your mammograms, you're doing your self breast exams at home. So many women, their lump is actually found by their partner. It's not even found by them. So make sure that you're doing, it in the shower once a month when you're supposed to, and go get the mammograms. COVID is not an excuse not to take this precaution, because when you catch it early, you are absolutely able to live a long and healthy life. So we want to make sure that we're doing that.
That's right. Very good. And thank you for wearing no bra, Nikki.
I was like, Archery, like below, are we good? Because it's a see-through shirt. Are we good? We're good.
I'm like, look, on my show, we do it all. We have babies come on camera. We have people doorbells ringing. This is a reality news show. So we do it all. All right. Well, for those of you all that are just joining us, welcome to the Tuesday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am Chat Daddy. My beautiful co-host this evening is legendary radio producer, personality, voiceover artist, motivational speaker, book author, you name it, the incredible Miss Nikki Woods. I've been knowing Nikki for many, many years, and I just love and adore her. And she's hanging out with us tonight as we celebrate Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Our next guest tonight, we're going to be talking about October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Yes. Nikki, are you having a good time so far?
I love you. I have been we've been twirling all day waiting for this interview. You talk about me, but I don't know if people really realize how generous of a soul you are. So, I mean, you were one of the first people that just came up and hooked my arm, and we were together, and you were like, whatever you need, I got you. So I just always appreciate, there's a lot of people. Chicago is so full. And I've got to correct you. I wasn't born in Chicago, so I got to say that.
Oh,
no, I was born in St. Louis. I was born and raised in St. Louis.
That's right. You were. Yeah. That's right. I just thought about that. I don't know. We made you Chicago. Right,
everybody thinks I'm from Chicago. My dad sent me a text you need to correct Chat Daddy.
That's right. That's right. Well, I know you are of Jamaican descent.
I am that. I
See
am.
there, I remember that. See there, see
So,
there.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm just I'm so proud of you, one, because you are just so resilient, and no matter what's going on in your life, you've got this beautiful smile on your face, and you're just always so helpful and kind to other people. But I'm also proud that you've just continued to take your brand to a new level. It's like nothing stops you. And so I love that about you. And I'm just really, really proud that you continue to share yourself with the world.
Thank you, my dear. I love you so much. And tell mom and daddy I said hello. That's
I
right.
know.
And now we got to give the Louis shout out. What up, St. Louis? What up, St. Louis? I love St. Louis. Yes, amen. All right. So our next guest is a dear friend of mine. I've known her for a number of years. She's a PR practitioner, a media personality as well, too. But for many years, I did not know that she was suffering in silence and had a situation going on. She is now a domestic violence advocate and educator. She's created a wonderful new app that she's going to talk to us about tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, not only is she smart, but she also is generous and kind with herself and her time. Welcome to the show, the one and only Miss Lisa R. Jenkins. Hello.
Hi guys, how are you? Hi Art. Hi Nikki.
Hey.
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to hear about the app. Like, I've been waiting for this all show.
See?
That's
See?
awesome. Yeah.
She has billboards and everything, Nikki. I'm just so impressed.
Awesome.
Lisa, you look
Art has
amazing.
rubbed off on me over the years.
Mm-hmm. Lisa, I love you. I'm so glad to see you tonight.
I love you too.
Thank you, darling. Do me a favor. Kind of give everybody your backstory of, you being a domestic violence victim yourself. All of those years that we worked together and was hanging out with each other, I never knew anything was going on until you finally one day told me. And just your resilience is just absolutely amazing. And my heart really does go out to anyone who's a domestic violence victim. Go right ahead.
Well, my story starts with I met my daughter's father when I was 19, right after high school. And there were warning signs early on, but I came from a toxic home. So the behavior seemed normal to me. So I didn't know to get out, when everything first started happening. And fast forward, I had my daughter. My abuse wasn't really physical. It was a few instances of physical abuse, but mainly mental and emotional. So that fed off of me being broken as a child. So that's kind of how I suffered through all those years, kind of numbing myself and kind of saying the stuff wasn't really that bad when it really was that bad. And I think that's just the main reason why it went on for so long, till I really realized that it was actually wrong and had a name to it and that I needed to get out of it.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people don't realize that they're in abusive situations and circumstances until they get much older. But you are absolutely right. A lot of times we think that domestic violence is something physical, but people can be mentally abusive, and verbally abusive. And so when did that aha moment happen for you?
That aha moment actually, okay, let me go back. I didn't have a name for what was happening to me, but I knew I didn't like it. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't enough for me to cut the plug, so to speak. So I'll say that I didn't love myself. I had low self-esteem from being a child, that kind of thing. So broken kids turn to broken adults, which I was. My aha moment was probably about maybe 15 years in. And you know how you might be with somebody and you think, okay, they generally care about my well-being, that kind of thing. But then something happened and you're like, they just don't give 2 cents about me. Mm-hmm. So I had one of those moments. And when I had that moment, I was like, no, I need to leave because he doesn't care about us.
And it must have been much more difficult because you had a daughter.
Yes, absolutely. And that was her father. That's all she knew.
Yeah.
So we all lived in the same household her whole life, but our lives were very separate. So it was always me and her and then him. So that I think that led to how I was able to kind of numb myself to it, to what was going on. And it wasn't always, you know, violent or always abusive, but it was just the whole environment of it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't think people realize how, you know, because they're predators. And so they recognize people that they can start to manipulate, and it starts out very slowly. And, you know, before you know it, I mean, I wasn't in a domestic violence situation, but I was date raped by a boyfriend in college. And when you look back, you're like, oh, that's what he was doing. Like, he was totally molding me to the point where you don't leave until, like you said, it just, well, I mean, he left me, you know, for dead in an alley. So it's like kind of, you know, that was my out. But I mean, you don't see it until it's too late.
Right.
And then you're like, okay, well, I got to kind of work with what I got.
Right, exactly. And then after I was finally out, I realized how he's just like my mother. And me and my mother have a toxic relationship. So it all made sense. I was like, oh, that's what it was. You know, it seemed normal to me. You know, because I didn't know it was wrong. So I left one dysfunctional home to go to another one.
So what was that process like with you leaving? Because often women have to leave and they don't have the money, they don't have a place to go, they don't feel safe. What was it like for you?
Well, thankfully, I always worked and had my own money, had my own car, that kind of thing. So I had that on my side. So for me, we were able to plan for 9 months to leave. Because at the time my daughter was in high school and her senior year of high school, I couldn't like take her out and derail her whole little life right then. She knew we were leaving, but I just couldn't do that part to her. And then I couldn't disappear from home and she still goes to the same school. That just wasn't an option for me. So for us, we were able to plan for 9 months and, you know, strategically go about it. But then at the same time, we both still had to act normal. Like we weren't, like everything was fine. And so that was like very traumatic once I was settled.
You know, ladies, I have a question for both of you because Nikki, your story is really just heart-wrenching to me. Lisa, of course, once I figured out what was going on and you told me your story. Ladies, especially you, Nikki, how do you recoup from something so tragic like that, you know, to be date raped and you know, and God knows your resilience is amazing, but what, you know, gave you the strength to continue to move forward from something like that?
I think family. I mean, it got really bad for me. Like, you know, when I was okay I actually finished that year out of school. And then I came home and then I just kind of, I really went downhill fast. And I think that, you know, my dad told me one time, he's like, you know, and he didn't even know what happened, but he was like, you letting whatever this is, you letting it kick your ass all over again. And so, and I realized I am letting him win every single day that I refuse to get out of bed or think that I'm not worth it. So it's a journey. And I'm sure Lisa can attest. I mean, there's still days where you're kind of like reflective of it and like, what happened? How did that happen? And why, how did I let that happen to me? So it really does a number on your self-esteem and your worthiness and your trust and just the goodness of other people. So it's a daily walk, but it's also a choice. Like Lisa made a conscious choice. Like, I am going to free myself and my daughter from the situation. I'm going to do it in a way that's smart, and I'm going to live my life. But it is a choice that you make. And for a lot of women, it's not easy. I mean, Lisa's a really great success story, but a lot of women go back because they can't survive without that feeling, whatever that feeling is. Like Lisa said, it's normal. So they can't survive without that feeling. And so they go back. And it's rough.
It really is. Lisa, with your healing process, the 9 months, everybody is like, wow, that's just like a pregnancy. I even put it up there on the screen. Once you started to breathe again, what was the first thing that you did for yourself? What did you do to validate and say, you know what, Lisa's worth $1 million and that part of my life is over?
Well, you know what, to piggyback off what Nikki said, it actually is a moment because how she was able to finish school, and then when she was at home, like safe, her body started responding to, you know, what had happened, and that's where she went down at. And then when she had the aha moment, like, okay, he doesn't get to, invade my future. That's the same thing I had. So when I left, our daughter was getting ready to go away to college. So we moved into June. She left middle of August. I thought I was fine. I thought I could just leave this 21-year relationship and be totally fine. I was not. So I was fine for 6 months. Then the nightmares started. And in the nightmares, I would wake up in the middle of the night, and in my dreams, he would be in my new apartment that he knew nothing about, attacking me. And so after that happened, maybe a couple of weeks, I went to counseling. And so that was my moment right there.
Yeah,
is that he doesn't get to invade. I left him to get away from that. He didn't get to invade my future. That stopped right there.
What about your daughter?
She's doing wonderful. She went to counseling also that first year and went through her own, because I come to find out she was feeling a lot of the same neglect and emotional abuse I was feeling. So she had to agree to the move because she was 18. So had she not agreed to it, I probably would have stayed a little longer, just because of, Art knows how I am about my child. I would have stayed, and probably until she left for college, because she initially wasn't going away to college, but then she changed her mind. And once she realized she was going away, I knew I couldn't stay there if he wasn't there, or she wasn't there, excuse me. So with her decision to go away, he didn't know she was going away. He thought she was still staying in the state. So with all of that, then that's how we developed the date and all of that.
Ladies, when does the forgiveness set in? Nikki kind of referred to it a little bit, but I think all three of us, I've never been a victim of domestic violence, but I've been a victim of other things. And in order to continue to flourish and grow, you've got to learn to let forgiveness enter into the picture. And so I'm just curious to know, have you both forgiven your accusers? Have you both grown to love and learn what the power of forgiveness is all about?
Go ahead, Nikki.
Yeah, I mean, mine is probably maybe a little bit different, because mine was really just extreme, but it was just like kind of a one-time thing, and then it was done. So yeah, of course there was anger, and there was, betrayal, hurt, all of that kind of stuff. But at some point, you're hurting yourself by holding on to that, and you just cannot move past it. The longer that you sit in those feelings. So eventually I did, I had to just consciously say, I don't have to forget it. I don't have to be your friend. I don't have any of that, but I have got to forgive you and move on. I think the interesting thing was the way it affected people around me. Like, I don't know if my mom has forgiven them yet. It's like, I think that that's affected some people, and surprisingly, in a way that I didn't expect. But I mean, forgiveness on all levels, no matter what the offense is I think is necessary for you to live a healthy life.
Lisa, what about you?
Yeah, about maybe 7 or 8 months in, I forgave him, because we lived in the suburbs at the time, and I moved back to the city. So for maybe that first year or two, if I drove to that suburb, I would physically get sick to my stomach. And so I ended up having to accidentally see him and notice that in the time I had been gone, he gained a massive amount of weight. And I was like, let me tell him I forgive him. And it had nothing to do with him, because I could care less at that point. But it was for, like Nikki said, it was for me. That I needed to release whatever I was holding on to. That I probably didn't know I was holding on to. But it is a continuous process. So I did.
Oh, I love it. I really, really do. So I want to talk about the Slip Out app. How in the world? Look, honey, you have an app now. You look.
I do. It's still a little,
Yes. You have an app now. You know what I'm saying?
I have a whole app.
Yes, I know. Yes, a whole app, right? And a working app, a functioning app.
It's a functioning app. You can play around in there and everything.
Yes,
Coloring book, checklist, it's all kind of stuff in that app.
Wow. So tell us all about the creation of the Slip Out app.
Okay, so the Slip Out app came about. Okay, let me go back a little bit. So in the 7 years that I've been out, I've written 4 books. I'm currently in grad school, and I created the app. So in the midst of my healing journey, the books were kind of the process of how I ended up being abused, like the broken relationship with my mom, generational curses, all of that kind of stuff went into it. So as the years have gone on, I say that I'm not in control of this. This is God like guiding me, because I have the idea, but then it'll go somewhere I had no idea where it was going. So I end up in grad school because I'm like, okay, I want to help people, but I need to know all the skills to help everybody correct. Like, I can talk about my experience, but I need the technical, wherewithal to really, really help these people. And then that's where the app came about. And so I started doing my research. I was going to have somebody build it. And you all probably know how expensive apps are. And I need both my arms. So that wasn't an option. But I found out you can build an app without code. So that's what I did. So I actually built the app. Took me a couple of days, and it took me a couple of days to get the layout, but it's been like 2 or 3 months that I actually was working on the app.
And so
the app is resources for domestic violence. It tells you what the abuse is. It tells you, it's literally a checklist on step-by-step how you can get out. Awesome. It's a global resource list. So any country you're in, you can find a resource in your country to, help you get out. There are daily affirmations. A list of daily affirmations, and I also send push notifications every day to all the users. It's on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. There's a 911 button in the app. So if someone's actually in the app and then for some reason they need the police, they can just push the button. Just a whole bunch of information. And yes, the focus is domestic violence, but anybody can use the app because we all have some areas in our life that we might need some assistance getting through or getting over.
I love it.
This is what is so brilliant about when people step into who they are and don't let anybody else control their destiny. That is such a gift to the world. Really, such a gift to the world. I just have no words for it. I mean, that is
thank you.
Amazing. That's just amazing.
It really is beautiful. It really is. So how's the app being received, Lisa?
It's been received pretty good. It's been out. I launched it September 27th, and it's already been downloaded 400 times across the US. It was downloaded yesterday in the Philippines and Australia. It's been downloaded in India, 12 other countries I don't know, and just everywhere. And it's just it's numb. I still can't believe it some days. I actually have a whole app. It's still I can't believe I actually did it. So it's being received very, very well. Very well. Yes.
It is. It really is. What is next for you, my friend?
I don't even know. I honestly couldn't tell you. I guess I'm just gonna probably start doing workshops. Hopefully COVID can go to, where it should really go and never come back. And then we can go back to semi, normalness or something. So I really just want to start doing workshops and just really help people heal. If they already, have been experiencing things, just help them heal from it. I might not be able to prevent everything, but I can help them heal so they don't have to be 21 years in trying to figure out who they are, kind of thing. I don't want anybody else to have to do what I had to do by myself.
Right. And I think the interesting thing is, because I think we all probably know somebody who's in this situation, probably right now, especially with COVID.
Yes,
things absolutely. A lot more stressful. And we just don't know the signs. So even having this app so that we can understand what it looks like, because you can tell. I can tell when somebody is traumatized or somebody is stressful, or when a person comes around, their whole demeanor changes because they're on guard for what they say or for what they do or how they appear.
Yes.
But I think that we're not aware of what those symptoms are. They just seem off. And so having where we can, learn the symptoms and like you said, I'm sure all of us need the daily affirmations just to get our lives right. Just knowing the symptoms so we can help other people, especially your younger generations. I think that's amazing.
Yes. Thank you.
Lisa and I were hanging out together, and I said to her, I said, man, are you okay? Is something wrong? And that's when Lisa finally confided in me that there was something going on and there was something wrong. And she was like, nope, don't worry. I'm getting out of it. I'm okay. And just to watch her journey, her amazing daughter's journey, it's just been something that makes my heart so proud. And that's why every October I want to have a conversation with my friend, and just to see her growth over the last couple of years has just been amazing. Because when I first questioned her many years ago about this, just what you said, Nikki, is what she was going through, being withdrawn and you know, I just thought she was quiet and shy, but she actually literally was going through some mess, you know, and so I just thank God that this is all just so much better now, you know?
Yes, because I think we met in 2007, 2008, around that time. So I was still, I had only been in it 10 years. So I was like in the muck of it.
Yeah.
You know? And you can attest that, you know, I am still shy and quiet, but you know, I'm sure you can see it's a different light in my eyes now.
Oh, absolutely. A different,
Yep. I'm not the same Lisa. Definitely not the same Lisa.
I love that. That needs to be the name of the next book. I'm not the same Lisa. I am
right.
not. Nikki, in closing, do you have anything else for our guest tonight that you want to talk to her about?
Now I'm trying to make a list of people we need to call to get Lisa on their show so we can get this app out.
Thank you.
I mean, really.
See, didn't I tell you this was going to be a good match tonight, Lisa?
Yeah.
I was like, look.
List. So I'll follow up with you after the show so we can talk about that. But I mean, like I said, I mean, I think that this obviously is going to change people's lives. It's going to save people's lives. And, you know, you have a whole app that you should be.
I have a whole app. Yeah, thank you. I am. And it also has a feature where you can text me anonymously. And, you know, if you need me to like literally help you with a plan, I'm more than welcome, more than open to do that.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I would say, and Lisa probably can put this challenge out better than I can, but just be aware, pay attention to the people around you and what's going on. And if you happen to be in this situation, obviously now you know you have help. So if it's not Lisa, just make sure that you reach out to somebody, because a lot of women have been through this and know what you're going through, and you certainly don't have to be alone.
Absolutely. Yes. There's help out there for sure.
Very good. Well, Lisa, tell us how we can find you, follow you, connect with the app, everything that you kind of want us to know. Please share with the audience.
Okay. So again, the app is available for free on the Google Play and Apple Store. And I did it for free because I didn't want anybody to not be able to get the resources because they don't have a credit card because they're being financially abused. Like, my blessings will come. Like, you know, getting money off a download wasn't really what, you know, I really wanted to do. And then also I named it how I named it because I didn't want it to be obvious. So it's like hiding in plain sight. Like, because you can look at the slip out and no one will ever guess what it really is. If they don't know. So, but I'm on Facebook and Instagram, the Slip Out app. And then again, you can text me anonymously, 773-340-3030, or the slippingout@gmail.com.
Yay! Two of my beautiful friends hanging out with me tonight. Lisa R. Jenkins, domestic violence advocate and educator. She is the creator of the Slip Out app. This is a global app. She got a whole app, y'all. It's almost like you gave birth to a new baby and you want the world to send gifts, right? But that's
absolutely. Yes, the process is actually like the process was actually worse than giving birth to my own child. So,
I can imagine. And speaking of your own child, my niece is a phenomenal chef. So we've got to get her on here one evening so she can give us a recipe or two. Can we do that?
Sure. You see, she commented.
I know. I just put her up there. Right. Look, Chef Little Bit, I need you to do a little bit on this show one night. Yeah, amen. I need you to.
Taylor, you hear him? You know, you got to get the YouTube channel going back. Yep.
Yes, amen. I'm happy about that. I really am. And my beautiful friend Nikki Woods is our co-host tonight. Lisa, we thank you so very much. And just God bless you for the work that you're doing and continue to help those that are in trouble. And again, just for me to know, you know, you telling me something was wrong and now you've gotten this far and you continuing to help others. It's a miracle. It really is a miracle and a blessing. It really is.
Thank you so much. It's been great meeting you, Nikki.
You too, darling. I'll follow up after this.
Okay,
Yes,
for sure.
Nikki gonna follow up now. I'm
I
telling
already
you.
know. I'm ready for it.
Look,
I've been getting all kind of calls and emails, and I'm like, okay, I got to get this going.
yes, yes.
Yep.
The fairy godmother, she owned it. I'm just telling you.
I already know.
Yeah. All right. Well, we love you so much, Lisa.
Love
Thank
you
you so
too.
very much. All right. Have a great night. Lisa
You
R.
too.
Jenkins, you guys, the creator of the Slip Out app. Yay. That was great, Nikki. Boy, I'm so glad, you shared your personal story. I wasn't expecting that, Nikki. So, I was just blown away. And then, just for the time. And here's the deal. We hadn't even talked about you sharing that story. And I just said I have a domestic violence guest coming on. Amazing.
No, my heart is so full. That's just God. You know what I mean? It's just the way. My heart is just so full. I'm just so proud of her, and I'm getting choked up.
Yeah, I know. Well, for those of you all that are just joining us, welcome to the Tuesday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. I am here Monday through Thursday night from 7 p.m. until we get tired. It's usually about 8:30, quarter to 9. This is just like a party line back in the day, or when you called your relatives on Sunday and talk unlimited on Sunday. That's what this is. Each and every night, we talk about a variety of things. This is a reality news entertainment show, and each night I have amazing guest co-hosts. Tonight is Nikki Woods, legendary radio producer, motivational speaker, author, mom, friend, just all around great woman. She's hanging out with us here tonight. And Nikki, so what's coming up next for you? What are you doing next? Is there anything next Nikki Woods is doing? You do the best pictures and motivational pieces. So I'm waiting on, what is the next Nikki Wood big adventure?
Well, I just got a book picked up by a publisher, so I'm really happy about that. It is about my story. So it's like about my story and not just about my story, but how I've been able to overcome so much in my life and how a lot of it is about me and what the things that I chose to do. It's not really about, like what happened to me, but the choices that I then made that everybody can make. But sometimes it just seems like it's too simple to do, that you just have to make a choice. Mm-hmm. So that's coming out. And then I am working on my own talk show that kind of got redlined or sidelined, not redlined, because of COVID. But hopefully that will come to light. And we've been working on that for about a year and a half. So I'm excited about that.
All right. Well, let me know. I'll come hang out with you on your show.
I gave you the heads up early, so you know it's coming.
I'll come hang out with you on your show one evening. I will. Well, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you here tonight. We've had just such a great time. Oh, Lisa is saying, bless you. I know this has been a good show tonight. I feel like this is one of the Oprah shows where we handing out gifts and cards and stuff. I'll help you. And that's what we do on this show. Well, coming up on the Wednesday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show, tomorrow night, 2 fan favorites will be joining me on the show, and they'll probably both be here all evening long. Kay Renee will be back. Kay Renee has been the longest running co-host of this show than any other co-host. But we also will be welcoming a lady who has been a guest on the show several times, and her commentary has just been so great. She is the creator of Sister Girl Speaks podcast. Kimberly Coleman will be joining us tomorrow, and she'll be here the whole show with us tomorrow. And we're going to talk about everything from the 2020 election season to relationships to money matters. The entire show tomorrow night is a gab fest with Kay Renee and Kim. So that ought to be, I'm going to bring me a beverage. I'm going to drink alcohol tomorrow night because I'm sure this conversation is going to go all over the place. And I'm looking forward to it. I am. All right. Well, our next guest this evening is a Chicago born and raised chef who is actually out on the East Coast now. This young man is known for making some of the best dishes ever. And we appreciate every time he's here with us because he actually does a cooking demo right on the show for us, and we love it. He is the president and executive chef of Eating Well with Chef Cordell Consulting. And so, wait, he was here and now he's disappeared. Like, where is he? Okay.
Being getting closer to the
right. Look, he was here. I hope he didn't fall into the pot. Right. I hope he didn't fall into the pot. Okay, so Nikki, now it's called killing time. So,
like
what else? Right. Stretch it, babe. Stretch it. So yeah, he was here and he just disappeared. So I don't know what in the chopsticks just happened. So let's talk about another hot topic. What else you want to talk about, Nikki? Oh, wait, this is him. All right, Chef. Let's see. Are you there, Chef? You ready? Let's see. Here we go. All right. Let's see. I see him in focus. And he disappeared again. All right. So right. So have you actually been going to supermarkets and stuff doing this, or do you do the grocery delivery thing?
I will go every once in a while, but I either do the grocery delivery or the grocery pickup. But sometimes you want to actually go and like see the produce like before they just put it in your car. You know what I mean? So if I buy like a lot of fresh produce, I'll actually go. But I usually try to go really early, like when when a lot of people aren't going to be there,
right.
or I don't go. Yeah, I go very few places.
Yes. Well, here's the deal. I tried the curbside pickup for the first time this weekend, and it was, decent. But I am the type of person that I need to touch and feel all of my items as well, too. And I enjoy grocery shopping. Like I'm one of those people, and, pre-COVID, people would see me in the store and I take selfies with them and how you doing, chat, and, things like that. And I meet their families. And so, now I'm just like, and the grocery delivery thing, I don't know if I want that done because, like you, I like to pick my bread out. I like to pick my produce out. I'm the guy who, I want the biggest bell pepper in the bin and so I don't know.
But what I have found is you save a lot of money when you have to order it than when you actually go in the store. Because I pick up so many that are not on my list because I just see them like, oh, that looks good, or oh, we can have that, but it's like if you have to actually make a list and then pay for it, right? Then I've saved money doing that.
Okay. All right. Well, our next guest is here. I think he's ready. Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from North Carolina, our good friend, Chef Cordell McGarry. Yay. Hey, Chef.
What's up? What's up? Yeah. Hold on. We getting this thing together here. We getting this thing together. Good evening.
I knew this was gonna be the segment of the night. I did. Hey.
What's happening, sir? How are you?
I'm wonderful, and you see my beautiful co-host this evening, the amazing Miss Nikki Woods.
Yes, I see Miss Nikki Woods as well. Good evening to the incomparable Art Chat Daddy Sims and Miss Nikki Woods. It is good to see you both. Yeah. Hope everything is going well.
We are doing great, Chef. Nikki and I both were talking about that the temperatures are changing.
Can you guys hear me?
We can. Can you hear us?
I can now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Nikki's down in Dallas, and she said it was cooler down there today. Next week here in Chicago, they're expecting temperatures to be in the mid to high 50s, And so soup is the call of action right about now. Correct, Chef?
It really, really is. I mean, especially in the Chicago area. But, as fall as a whole, right now, soup is definitely the call of the day. So we wanted to put together this session here to focus on some soups that we think would be great for people to try and do. Okay.
Okay. Well, whenever you stop making us dizzy, we ready.
I am not trying to make you dizzy. I'm trying to figure out how to turn this camera around, which I have not figured out yet. But that's all right because we're gonna make this work right now, sir. Just give me 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds. But I have been listening to you guys' show this evening. Of course, we got two media legends on call this evening. So I'm just happy to be in you guys' presence at this point. Well, we all know what Art has done and what Miss Nikki Woods has done as well. So kudos to you guys very, very much. I apologize. I don't know why this thing is acting funny right now, but we're about to cook up some really good soups here. So give me 1 second.
Right. I see pots. I see pots. I see pans.
Well, that's what we do. That's what we do. So I apologize for the angle, but I wanted you guys to be able to kind of see how some of the process works. So what we're going to be doing this evening, we're going to be focusing on a couple of soups that I think would fit in very well with the fall season. So we're going to be doing a sweet potato and pear soup. which is very, very tasty. I know it sounds odd and different.
No,
and I'm not a big
like
fan. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of sweet potatoes at all or pears at all. But this soup here, when I put them both together, they worked fantastically well. Art, don't be laughing at me, sir.
I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing.
I just did a class and everything was perfect. And I'm not sure why this phone is acting a fool right now. But as we do in Chicago, which is where we are from, we're going to make it do what it do. So that's all there is.
Make it do what it do.
All
Absolutely.
Right?
Okay.
So as I said, we're going to be doing a sweet potato and pear soup. And then we're also going to be doing a potato and leek soup. So I'm going to rearrange this camera here one more time, and then we're going to be ready to go. All right.
Okay.
So
all right.
In the sweet potato and pear soup, we're going to be using a couple of different ingredients. Okay. So in the sweet potato and pear soup, obviously we're going to be using sweet potatoes and pears, and we're going to also be using about 1.5 pounds of sweet potatoes, which we have here already diced up.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to use about 3 large pears, which we already have diced up. We're going to use
now, Chef, are there
sir.
any particular type of pears that we should be using? Because now is pear season.
Not necessarily. When it comes to pears, I use Bartlett pears. Red pears work really good with this recipe, as well as Asian pears. Now, Asian pears have a little bit more of an apple flavor to them, but they're fantastic. They really, really are. So if you can get your hands on any pears for this recipe, that works. The most important thing is that they're peeled, cored, and cut into chunks. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to use about 1/2 of a medium sweet onion as well. About 3 garlic cloves, which we're going to mince up. We're going to use some broth, a tablespoon of maple syrup, a teaspoon of fresh thyme. We're going to use a tablespoon of olive oil, a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, some salt, and some black pepper as well as some mint. So as we know, the fall season has come into full swing. So when the seasons change, the most important thing is to be able to, in my opinion, shop by what's in season. So right now you have a lot of great produce items that are in season right now, from apples to arugula, avocados, beets, broccoli, cabbage, cherries, and so on. Now, my favorite season is summer, because summer produces some of my favorite fruits, but fall can get you some really good stuff as well. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do, now that we have everything all chopped up, we're going to move over to our pot here, and we're going to get this on a medium heat. So once this becomes hot, we're going to start to add our ingredients. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do, once it gets hot, we're going to add our onions, and we're going to let those cook for a couple of minutes. Now, when it comes to cooking with onions, there are several different types of onions, from yellow to red to white to Vidalia to Texas sweet and so on. I prefer Texas sweet and the Vidalias over typical red, white, and yellow. Now, those are a little bit cheaper, but they're a little more tart as well. So you want to be careful with that flavor. Okay. I prefer, though, as I said, some of the sweeter onions. Now, especially for the men here, as we get our pot warm, especially for the men here, what the fall will do is it will produce a lot of vegetables called cruciferous vegetables. Cruciferous vegetables are vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, sweet potatoes, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. Those are particularly fantastic for men because they help to stave off and to prevent prostate cancer. Okay, so for the guys out there, if you're able to get in any of those cruciferous vegetables, just Google what cruciferous vegetables are. You want to get those in as much as possible. Okay. So now, here we're going to cut up our onion for our mix. Now, when it comes to onions, you want to be very careful. Okay, there are a couple of different ways to be able to cut onions. The most important thing to remember with onions is that whenever you cut with them, they release a gas, and that gas is what makes you tear up. Okay, so the best way to prevent that from tearing up is to cut them in half and soak them in cold water for about 30 minutes, and then cut them. You can cut them in half and put them in a freezer for about 30 minutes, and that helps as well. Now, the other way that you can do, you'll look very silly doing it, but it works extremely well. Take a half a piece of bread and put it into your mouth and let the other half hang over your mouth. What'll happen is, as you start to chop it up, the gases from the onion will run into the bread, so it never makes it to your eyes. All right. So those are a couple of really quick ways to be able to help with that onion gas. Okay. So we're gonna let these cook for a couple of minutes here, and then we're gonna add in our garlic. Now, onions you can saute for a very long period of time. As long as you do it low and slow, it should be good to go. Okay.
Okay. All right.
So after a few minutes of that, you want to add some chopped up garlic. Now, I am a fan. Anybody that knows me knows how much I love garlic. I always say if garlic was a woman, we would be in a very serious relationship. Garlic is one of my favorite things to use in any recipe.
Well, I know a woman that lives in Transylvania that would be good for you.
A lot of what it needs to be able to get going. Okay.
Okay.
So, for the purposes of this, we would let this cook for about 8 to 10 minutes, which we're not going to do here though. But we would let that cook for about 8 to 10 minutes, and then we're going to add our pears to the mix. Now, as I said, I'm not a big fan of pears at all. I never liked them as a child, but as a chef and experimenting with different things, I've come up with recipes that work very, very well. Okay.
I don't think I've
We're going to add our pears here. We're going to let these cook for a few minutes.
I don't think he can hear us.
I don't think so either.
Can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you, but we've been trying to make some comments. So what were you getting ready to say, Nikki, about the pears?
I said, I don't think I've ever used pears in a recipe before.
I've done it in maybe a tart or, like caramel.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us? Hello?
No, he can't hear me.
He can't hear us. Okay. All right. And he's gone now. Okay. Okay.
It was like the weirdest cooking demonstration ever. It was like we looked.
Girl, I told you this is a reality news show. Right. It was good. That was good.
But the most important thing is that we can get the recipes, right?
So, yes. I'll post all the recipes. I'll post all the recipes. They'll be up, and I'll try to have him back on again. Real soon. So that is too
worth it just to learn how to cut an onion without tearing up. So that was worth the cost of admission for me. So
yes, it was. Yes, it was. So let me ask you this, Nikki. Where do you think the entertainment? We talked about the movie world, but you and I both know, concerts are huge. People wanting to go out, entertainers. We're seeing where comedians are doing, where everybody is tested for COVID and they're performing show. Do you think the entertainment world will ever get back to where it once was, and us going back to concerts? You used to host all those concerts back in the day, as the stage host. What do you think?
I mean, unfortunately, I think that nothing is going to go back to the way that it was. I think we're always going to be cognizant, because people act like all of a sudden, poof, COVID is just going to be gone, and it's not. They've said even once you get the vaccine that people could still get it. So, I mean, we have to be very cognizant of it. I know that, we tried to, I own part of a film production company, and, they were, one of my partners was doing a documentary, and it was just extremely difficult to do it because of the social distancing and the masks and all the precautions with the rooms and things. So unless you're like the NBA where you can put everybody in a bubble, getting things done is going to be extremely, extremely difficult. So I think that people have gone back to trying to get it done, safely, like Tyler Perry having his own, world, with his studios where he can keep everything pretty contained. But for most people, it's just not realistic. And even though I've seen, the comedians doing it, like I'm not going to it. I'm not going to a show. I'm not hanging out in big groups of people. And then it's going to be hot. We're all going to be wearing masks. It's just, no, it's not going to be cute.
Well, they were saying that, Dave Chappelle lives in Ohio and that I guess he lives in a rural area. So he built I guess, an amphitheater on his property. Everybody who would come to the comedy shows have to take a COVID test. They get a wristband. Even all of the performers, the comedians, once their plane lands, because I understand he even have a private landing strip or whatever, that you are COVID tested immediately. Once you clear the COVID test, you get a wristband saying you're all good to go hang out. But to me, that's a lot of precaution now. That's a lot of,
What happens between the plane and getting to the thing? I mean, it's like, are you going to just keep everybody contained? Like they go straight to the plane, to the amphitheater, and there's just too many things. And so it's like, even here in Dallas, like they've tried to do like some outdoor movies and, outdoor concerts and that sort of thing. And I think people are happy that there's an option, but I just don't think things are going to be able to go back to business as usual in any area.
Lisa, who was just on the show, she says she has PTSD as a result. And really, I must admit too, I have it as well too. I mean, imagine looting, rioting, a pandemic, the current climate that we're going through with our process of the voting season right now. You and I should talk about that real quick before we sign off. It's a lot on people right now. I don't even know how people are able to just even function clearly because we are living in very stressful times.
No, I agree. And I think that everybody probably has a mild form of something. So whether it's PTSD or it's depression or it's, it's just something. And I've known two people, because we talk about people like that die from COVID, but there are so many people that have died from the depression of COVID, or they've died because they've lost a loved one and they've taken their own lives because then once their loved one is gone, they're by themselves in isolation. So there are people that are just, Lisa, I can imagine. I think it triggered, everybody. I think that this season was the first season where I was like, I need a me day.
Yes.
I need I don't want to go to work and hear anybody else talking about this. I don't want any more ask the black girl kind of questions. Like, I don't want to hear anybody else saying, how can we leverage this situation? How can we get involved so that it makes our brand bigger? It was horrible. It was a horrible time, I think, for everybody. And so I do believe that everybody has, is suffering from something. And I hope that people continue to say it like Lisa did and ask for help if they, if they need help, instead of just suffering in silence, because I don't think that we realize how badly this has affected some people. Like my youngest had a meltdown one day because, he couldn't get something done. And I kept saying, I don't know, why can't you get this done? Like, you have all the time in the world, just sitting in the house, you can't go nowhere. Why can't you get it done? And he just had a meltdown because he was like, I want to go back to school. Like, I want to see my friends. I miss going to my teachers. And I just hadn't realized like how, because he's a social butterfly, how the social isolation had really affected him. And so we just have to be more cognizant of, taking care of people and reaching out. And, like for my parents, we do these weekly Zoom calls that, my mom, it's become like this like lifeline for her, because they haven't seen us in probably almost a year now.
Wow. And that's unheard of. You would visit, when you could, quite regularly.
All the time. But, it's like, because they go away and they travel for the winter. And so by the time they got back, they were stuck in Florida because COVID struck while they were on a cruise ship. So they got stuck in Florida for like 3 months. And now they're not traveling. Yeah, it's just been really hard on families. So we have, these weekly Zoom calls just to be able to see everybody. And talk to everybody. So I think that people underestimate like how this has indirectly affected a lot of people and directly affected a lot of people. And we got to continue to support each other and check on each other. But you also have to take some responsibility of asking for help too.
Wow. Well, I don't know. I just want to remind everybody to stay safe. If you feel as if you are in a situation of panic, despair, that you need somebody, please reach out and try to find somebody. You know, they were saying that mental health professionals, they're working extremely hard now more than ever due to the number of people that are just not able to deal with what's going on right now, you know, in this world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Real quick, what do you want to say about voting? What do you want everybody to do? And we need to get your take on everything. And then do me a favor, tell everybody how they can find you, follow you, all that great stuff.
Okay. You know what? It's like, honestly, I can't understand why somebody would not want to vote with the state that our country is in. It's almost like we've seen 4 years of, you know, something that I would think would drive anybody to the polls to vote early. I mean, I think that this is an unfortunate situation that we're in for this particular election, because I think it's going to make, you know, it's more difficult for people to go. There's fear. They're going to have to take different precautions. But it is absolutely your responsibility, I think, to go cast your vote. And like Art, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. You vote for who you believe in.
Right. Look. We ain't gonna tell you who to vote for.
But I think that if you don't, you know, then we have too many people complaining about the way the state of our country is, but they never, ever cast their vote. And I think we've seen, even in the last election, how closely things can go and how easily things can be swayed. And I'm saying sometimes it's not even voting for a president, but it's voting against one. And so even if you don't believe entirely in anybody else that's running, sometimes you just have to say absolutely not to somebody else and give somebody else a try. So you absolutely have to go vote. You got to talk to your children, talk to younger, you know, people, you know, take the elderly, give them rides, you know, do all of that stuff. We all have got to pitch in to make sure that everybody can get to the polls.
Yes, I agree with Nikki 100%. And now one of the things that she said, we cannot tell you who to vote for, but I'm telling you all this. You want to vote for somebody who has great hair like Nicki. And she's running with somebody who we all call him Uncle, and he, you know, he cusses a little bit. He'll call you a clown if he think you a clown. and look, Nikki, I had no issues with that. You know, call a thing a thing. Call a thing a thing. You know what I'm saying? You know, a lot of the media people were saying, you know, the big highbrow media people were saying that he should have said, you're having clownish ways or clown-like behavior or whatever. No, he called a thing a thing. He told Thing, you are a clown, and he was right. So I'm just telling you guys, we're not telling you who to vote for, but you definitely want to vote for someone who has hair like Nikki Woods, wink, wink, wink. And she is running with a man that we call Uncle Joe, and he cusses. So we love it.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Enough to put a little fire under your ass.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it's interesting because I think that people are starting to see the light. I think that people are starting to see how just comical this whole thing has become. I mean, you go to other countries and like they're like your president, you know, kind of laugh between.
They do. Yeah.
We all laugh at the leading country in America, I mean, in the world, globally, and people are laughing at us.
Yes, we've heard nothing about Canada, have we? You've been hearing nothing out of Canada, nothing. Quiet. You know, it's just amazing. The United States is on the forefront of foolishness right now, and it's all due to our leadership. Well, I don't know. It's just crazy in many ways. Well, Nikki, we've come to the end of the show. My dear, do me a favor. Tell everybody how they can find you, follow you, reach you, all that great stuff.
Yeah, you can. I'm Nikki Woods everywhere on social media. On Facebook, I am the Nikki Woods, but everywhere else it's just Nikki Woods.
See, I told y'all the Nikki Woods. I told y'all.
Well, yeah, okay. We'll talk about that another time. And then there's my website is nikkieWoodsmedia.com. So I'd love to connect with people. I mean, obviously the people in your audience and your community are phenomenal people. And so, you know, they can all absolutely come over to my social platforms anytime.
Yes, they can.
So much fun and so enlightening and encouraging. And so I had an amazing time and I appreciate you having me on.
All right. Well, I'd love to have you back anytime you want to come back. Any platform you need to get yourself out there, please let me know. And when you start your show, we'll celebrate you and do all the great things that we do. And I just love you, my friend. I appreciate you. And you have really been just as humble as you were the day I met you. You're still very humble and gracious to this day.
Oh, thank you. My mom.
Yay. Your mama what?
My mama would be proud you said that.
Oh, mama. Yeah. Please, mom, be proud. Be proud of Nikki Woods because she is a phenomenal person. She really is. And I'm so glad both of the young men are doing well. And just know he was in your stomach and now he's a freshman in college. I'm not getting old and you're not getting old. It's these doggone children that are getting old.
What happens? They just think they can grow up and like.
I know. Who does that?
Yep. But I'm excited and I'm just so grateful for you. So
I love you too, my dear. Give it up for Nikki Woods. Yay. All right. So listen, want to remind everybody to please wear your mask. Wear your mask. Easy and simple. Just wear it. It doesn't cost you anything. Wash your hands with soap and water. That's very important. If you can't get soap and water, this little bottle of sanitizer, I keep mine filled. I have hundreds of these little bottles. I just squirt and go. Keep my hands nice and clean. Make sure you social distance at least 6 feet back. And if you're not feeling well, keep your ass in the house. All right. So don't forget to join us tomorrow night. My two favorites, Kay Renee and Miss Kim, will be here tomorrow night, and we'll debate all of the issues as we always do and have a great time. Do me a favor, go over to YouTube and subscribe to the Real Chat Daddy Show on YouTube. It's free, it's easy, it's simple, doesn't cost you anything, as well as go over to the Facebook page, the Real Chat Daddy Show, and like that page as well too. All right, for more information about yours truly, go to therealchatdaddy.com, therealchatdaddy.com. Everything is there. I love you guys so much. On behalf of Nikki Woods, the Nikki Woods, you guys, that's who she is, the Nikki Woods, and yours truly, Chat Daddy. Have a beautiful night. Be safe. God bless. And we'll see you guys later. Bye, Nikki. I love you. I'll see you in a minute. All right. Bye. Here we go.